How many kids are going?
7.
It's me, Maddie, Mia Serrano, Stella Pop, Sophie Lucenhoff, and yeah. It was so, like, when we were at the meeting, we were, like, talking about it. Like, it was just, like,
Safari or something.
yeah, I think it's the first thing you do.
Yeah.
It's the first thing you do.
How long you been out? Oh boy.
Nice. Hi. Cool.
Yes, it is.
Awesome.
This is literally what I do.
Hi, Nev.
But I don't write any notes.
Hey, D. Hey. How's it going? Nice to see you. How's it going, man? Nice to see you. Got your Yahoo ready to go? All right.
Were you in the wrong spot last time? I don't know if that's even normal for you. Here, I'll say it because your voice is dead, but.
Almost.
Watch pot never boils. It's like time on the treadmill. You look down. Oh, that's only been 10 seconds.
Feels like 10 years. That's for certain. All right, 7. Everybody rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming tonight. We do not have anyone who's asked to speak on items outside the agenda, so we'll start just with the agenda. The first item is the report of the secretary. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of January 22nd?
I move that we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of Wednesday, January 22nd, 2020.
All right, I'll second. Lisa seconds. Did anybody have any changes or corrections?
There's one little thing that I don't know if is even a correction. It says that Stephen Dobbins works for this. It seemed like it should say with. In the first paragraph. But it's kind of. You know what I'm talking about?
Works for Chartwell's?
Chartwell's?
Is that your question?
He,
It's working for Chartwell's and partnering with.
Okay. No, I was thinking of something else. I must have been weird. Yeah, it seems fine.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they seem good.
I had just a couple of 2 quick little changes on page 4. In the top paragraph, Elaine, the sentence that uses a bidding service called Competitive Energy Services, which helped, I think it should be, helped the district. And then in that same paragraph, the sentence that stated the district has a maintenance contract and just take out the but.
Okay.
And in the next sentence, take out the outside of MHS perimeter instead of the, I think.
Outside MH.
Of probably of the, just put it of in there.
Of the MHs. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And then the other really small change on page 5, instead of the third place went to Barry Keene, it's Mary Keene, Keene.
Keene.
Yeah, and it's Mary, not Barry.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm sure that was very hard to hear. Not knowing all the students. I had to go back and double check the announcement just to make sure I had it right. Because I don't know all the students either.
First you got that, that's awesome.
Well, I'm like, Barry King just doesn't sound right for some reason. Yeah, it doesn't sound familiar. And I think you know.
I do know
You
her.
know her, because I think you commented.
No, I should have caught that too.
I think you commented, so I'm like.
You're so good at this.
Okay,
Yeah, Carrie.
But anyways, all right. So if nobody has any other changes, all those in favor, we can all vote. All right, the only thing on my report is the town officials meeting, and it's the 12th at South Berwick Town Hall, and Joe is on it. So we'll look forward to hearing the report that night. School board all day that day.
All day, it's a busy day.
Make it be busy. So that's it for me.
Fantastic.
Mr. Caverly.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. I am really proud and excited to welcome the Unified Basketball Program here today. Mr. Rich Buzzle is going to give us a little bit of a presentation, and then just love to kind of see this and then hear a little bit about what's going on and where maybe the future will take us. So, Mr. Buzzle, we turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. I got to be honest, I've been here for 17 years, and I've given a lot of presentations at the board level, so thank you for having us here. This is absolutely probably one of the best things that we've done as a district. I'm going to give you a little bit of history on where Unified came from, how we got into it. There's a PowerPoint that we have up here. We have obviously a lot of people in the crowd. The first thing I want to do, though, is introduce those people. So I'd like the coaches are going to introduce themselves, and then the kids are going to do the same. So Tatiana, take it away.
I'm Tatiana Waltrek. I am one of the Marshwood head coach.
Tim Jones from Noble, one of the other coaches with Tatiana.
This is Hannah Corcoran. She is our special ed helper who has been helping with us, and this is Deb Hasty. She's the Noble guru for helping us with all the special ed. And then all of my students.
My name is Dylan Bynum. I'm a senior here at Marshwood. I've done a Unified for like 2 years now, and this is a great program. I like it.
My name is Haley Lawrence. I'm a sophomore at Marshwood. This is my first year doing Unified.
I'm Andrew Gray. I'm a sophomore. It's my first year.
I'm a senior and I've been doing Unified for 3 years.
And your name? Nav Carmel.
I'm Colby Leach. I'm a junior. I've been doing Unified for 2 years.
My name is Benita and it's junior. That's mom.
I'm Connor Caverly. I'm a senior. This is my 3rd year doing Unified.
My name is Colleen Winter. I'm a sophomore. This is my first year.
I'm Malcolm Connell. I'm a junior. This is my first year.
Thank you, guys.
At any time, please feel free to ask questions, but I can say that people at Jerry came to the game yesterday, and we've got several faculty members and people throughout the district that have come to our games here at the schools, and it's one of the best things that we've got going on. Put together a little slide presentation. Our program began in the winter of 2015, and we partnered with Noble. That was a year into when Maine started playing Unified basketball. We're a little bit behind in the state as far as some other New England areas. Massachusetts and New Hampshire are a little bit ahead of us in the game with the Unified sports, but we took it on in the winter of 2015. Haven't looked back, and it's been great. This is going to be our 5th year with Unified basketball. Time flies. I mean, I can't believe it's been 5 years when I looked at our record and stuff that we've been doing. It's provided over 100 opportunities between both of our schools for students with special needs that normally wouldn't have been afforded an opportunity to play, and has fundamentally changed the landscape of acceptance in our schools. And you can see it by just showing up at one of our games. It's one of the more heartwarming events that we do. It partners with Special Olympics of Maine, Unified Sports, and part of their vision is sports will open hearts and minds towards people with intellectual disabilities and create inclusive communities all over the world. And that's really the overall goal, that inclusion is where things are at, and that's what we're really looking at and what we're getting out of our program. what they see with people with special needs too is the 4 things that they really are trying to fight. We went to a program, Connor was part of it, Nev, Colby, and Max Blackwin, and myself and Lou Orlando went up to an inclusion workshop up in Portland, November 15th. Connor and I figured out through some pictures that we looked at. And it was great. They invited, there was probably 35 schools that were there. When it first started out, there were 16 schools in Maine that started out with unified basketball programming. It's over 60 now.
Wow.
So it's grown tremendously in 5 years. And I keep, I'll have ADs call me and say, we're gonna start unified basketball programming, next year. Can you help me through what we have to do and what are the steps and what's it gonna cost us and what should we do, so we don't hit potholes. And I told them, go for it 100% because it's going to be one of the best things you do in your schools, and I 100% believe that. One of the things that we see that they have told us and through surveys that we've taken in the state of Maine, they try to fight isolation, bullying, inactivity, and obesity. So that's 4 of the areas that really, and we're trying to do that in our schools anyway. How do we overcome these challenges? Unified Champion Schools is what the state, Unified Partner Schools are trying to say that is very important in inclusion. And they'll say that, creating schools of acceptance, their 5 areas are promote positive attitudes and behaviors, increase participation in school-based unified sports, increase youth involvement at the school, local and state level, and promote social inclusion for individuals with and without ID. So you're going to see here with Unified Sports, what we try to do is a fully inclusive sport or fitness program, and that's one of the things that we're doing with Unified Basketball. You're going to see also in a slide that we've got here, Special Olympics of Maine, the unified sports activities that are offered out there. It's important to understand this. There's unified bowling, there's unified golf, there's unified soccer. In the winter, there's unified basketball, unified swimming. In spring, there's unified bocce, unified candlepin bowling, and unified track and field. And the Maine Principals Association, which oversees all of our sports in the state of Maine for high schools, they're currently sponsoring volleyball, unified basketball, and unified bocce. It first came in with basketball being the first sponsored program, and then it's gone to volleyball. Now we're offering, they're going to be offering bocce in the spring. It's great. Like, one of our goals is we really like to try to get something in each sports season here. So that's something we're going to look for. This is some of the data, some of the stuff that we filled out through the conference when we had probably 300 people. How many, Connie, would you say, Colby? I would say there's 200-300 people that were at this conference that we went to, and we filled out some surveys. Key findings through the surveys are students with ID, positive attitudes toward their peers, more tolerant, realize the impact of their words and actions. Students with ID feel welcome, routinely included, feel they are valued, part of activities, all the stuff that we want in education. And there's some other slides in here, and it's just, I'll hit a couple of the things, but impact on school climate, we really feel very positively about school climate around here, as you guys know. 93% of the teachers believe UCS has created a more socially inclusive environment, and 88% credit the program to reduce bullying and teasing in their schools. So it's hitting areas that we're all trying to hit anyway, and we're proud of that. 72% of the involved teachers or school people that were surveyed believe participation in Unified Champion Schools program has made a big difference in increasing confidence in student athletes with disabilities. And whether it is or it isn't, confidence is really something that we try to instill in all of our kids here, all 724 or whatever we have here at the high school now. 84% of students become better at sharing responsibility. 84% students learn the pro-social skills of patience and compromise. All numbers just trending in the areas that we want to hit anyway. So we're really psyched about that. Nearly 3/4 of school liaisons observed that the SUSE's help student awareness with disabilities and increased opportunities for students with and without disabilities that work together. Nearly 3/4 said the Special Olympics Unified Strategies made a big difference in increasing the confidence again with in that area. Lasting impact, 70%, this one really spoke to me too. 70% of postgraduates keep in contact with athletes since graduating. Graduates gain leadership skills that carry into their present lives, and 75% of graduates say participation has influenced their future plans. And this is all data that's coming from the kids. So some of our long-term goals, we'd love to expand the program at the high school. Right now, we're doing unified basketball. It's starting to get into the middle school with several schools right now. And we'd also love to get one sport activity in each season for unified as well. So that's a long-term goal of ours, and we'd love to see that happen. And Tatiana's helped me with what do our players like about unified basketball, so you're going to hear the voices of our kids now. So Lily from Noble, I like basketball because it makes me happy when I make a basket. Everyone cheers for me and my heart feels amazing. My favorite part of basketball is my team. I get to play with kids from Marshwood, and I have new friends. And then Nev, I like basketball because I like to play with all my different friends from both schools. We got pictures, so thank you, Tatiana, for providing those. How does unified basketball make you feel? We got Elio, we got Riley here. It makes me feel proud and happy because I have good teammates and others to help out. And we make a great team. It makes me proud because of all the people cheering for me, and I'm proud that I can be a great basketball player. For some of our mentors, our partners, why did you want to be a mentor partner for the unified basketball team? I've always had a passion for helping those with exceptional studies, and I've worked with many of these students on and off the court. That's my goal. It means helping a bigger cause than you through doing something you love. Honor. Olivia's, I wanted to join this team because I thought I could make a difference for them, but they made even more of an impact on my life. Abram, my sister plays, and I wanted to make an impact on her and her other teammates, so it's nice brotherly sisterly love. And we have, see if I can get this video to play on here. We have a video. They're all quick, they're all really quick clips.
Nice.
Go to the next one. Yeah. That was the opener with Wells, right? Was that our first game? There's some dribbling skill over there. That's it for our slideshow. So,
Excellent.
if anybody's got any questions, we'd love to, I'd love to entertain it, or our group. You can ask them directly. I know there's a few of them that are not shy. Honestly, it's really like one of the things that we're most proud of here at Marshwood.
Yeah.
It's been something that we look forward to every year, and our kids put in a great effort, so we're really glad that you guys support us.
Have you started to think about what sports you'd do in the other 2 seasons?
Yeah, we talked about that when we were up at the meeting in November, and we thought, bocce was one that we could do in the springtime, and we even had Mr. Orlando, who went up with us, said that he would be willing to take that on as well, for us, which would be great. And then, we were thinking about bowling in the fall time. Or we were thinking about volleyball, because we're going to be doing volleyball anyway, and it might be a great opportunity.
Yeah.
So, but relatively, I think that it's very cost effective for us, and it'd be great for a lot of involvement in the school. Bocce's a great game too, and it's pretty fun.
Would those be the same, like the partnership with the?
Yeah, yep,
That's
exactly.
awesome. It is an amazing program.
Yeah.
I love games.
And there's no lack of participation. There must be almost 20 kids,
Yeah.
when
We
you
have
have
24,
We have
right?
24.
24.
7 of our players are from Noble, and 6 of them are from Marshwood for the players.
Wow.
They practice twice a week typically?
Practice twice a week, and then we usually play 2 times a week.
Yeah. Usually one practice at Central School, one at Noble High School, so
Yeah.
they're
So we
divided
do
between
lots
the
of
two
different
communities.
transportation. So we kind of hit both schools at each time. So we play at Marshwood again on the 13th here with York.
Yeah.
And then the March, what is it?
February
26th.
26th.
February 26th at Noble.
And what time are those, Tatiana?
3:45 usually. The only thing is at 4 o'clock.
3:45, 4?
Most of them are
Between
3:45.
3:30 and 4.
Somewhere between there.
Yeah.
Show up.
And our
And typically the season, we play 8 regular season games. Last year we were lucky enough, we had 2 exhibitions as well with some New Hampshire schools. We had 10 games last year. And we go till probably the second week of March, and there's a festival tournament that's going to happen at Massabesic High School where a ton of teams are going to go. They'll probably have 10 round robin games for people to play all day. So.
Oh, that's cool. Is that new this year?
Yeah, no, they did it last year.
Well, kind of. We used to
Noble
be
did it
in
last
a
year, right?
competitive league where there was playoffs.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And I
since
know,
then
I
they
read
kinda
that they got rid
dismissed
of that,
so-
yeah.
But they've always had tournaments like that. And
Okay.
so this year we decided that we definitely want to go to that tournament.
Nice.
There's pizza at the end, and trophy at the, some medals at the end every
Oh,
player gets. So
perfect.
we love food and we love playing. So, and we look forward to, we like to do, we travel together.
Yep.
The biggest thing is we take our bus from Marshwood and we like to go pick them up. We cheer them getting on the bus and then we go to wherever we are. So we travel as a team, even though we're from 2 different schools. It truly has been the nicest to have 2 different schools, and you heard in the quotes of how much this the players really enjoy meeting new players that they don't get to play with, and people that they don't see. I think that's the biggest thing. Is really that collaboration that we've had together with Noble has truly made it even better than what it is. They see each other every day, for 7 hours, and now. After 7 hours, they get to see brand new friends that they get to hang out with, and they do other things outside of the school. They've gone bowling together as friends.
Otherwise, wouldn't be able to have this opportunity. And I think that just like any of our students, access to things is really important. So, however we're able to support people where they're at, I think it's great. And if they didn't have this, then I think Colin would struggle in other areas with sports and stuff. It's a nice piece for him, especially taking some of his medical diagnoses into consideration. The pace of it's really good. So
wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Burnell.
Like Rich said, we brought about 25 kids down from the Great Work School yesterday to the game. And as I was watching, I was just getting teary-eyed. Sitting there, honest to goodness, to see the kids and just see the combination and how the kids work together. But then, and I was telling Rich earlier, everyone has got to be really so proud of the Marshwood kids, because there were, 100 kids or 70. There were just so many high school kids sitting there, and it was genuine. And cheering for both teams, but when a basket went up, it was nice. Everything is good about this program.
It's what you want.
I'll tell you, 2 things that my observations is when we went to Noble for the first game, the track team was there, the wrestling team was there, the girls and boys basketball team was there. So the support across the student body. Honestly, there probably more people at the Unified games than if you go upstairs right now than the boys basketball game. And I'm not exaggerating, And then the other thing is, I just would be remiss if I didn't say that the coaches have made such a difference. You've created an environment where kids can flourish and kids can develop and kids can take risks. And it's just so wonderful to see. So thank you. And guys, thank you for being willing to try something different and doing it. It's fun to watch you play, and we've got a long season ahead of us. So good luck to you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
You guys are all set. Thank you.
If you want to go ahead.
So before we move off that topic, though, I'd be interested in hearing if we can somehow make the other 2 seasons less long range than it seems to be suggested in Rich's slides.
Yeah, I agree. What can we do to make that happen?
If there's anything the board can do to support that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're coming into budget season, for instance.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've talked that. I have some superintendent points that I have. And so even if we just wanted to kind of get something started to try it, just to get our feet wet, with the bocce, which I think is so easy to do.
Yes.
Yeah. Volleyball seems more cost effective than bowling, maybe.
Yeah.
Transportation, no bowling shoes.
And they do like a one-day bowling now anyway. They did that this year.
I mean, it's something you do, but I mean, to make a team, it seems like we've got all the volleyball right here.
Stuff's here.
Yeah.
So absolutely. So that's all good.
And it's easier to get kids to come watch and be involved. You don't have to, if you've got kids that are that are freshmen and sophomores that can't drive to go there.
To get to the bowl or somewhere.
It makes sense to do it here.
Do we need a
court for bocce? I've only played it on the beach.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some actual rules
Some kind of
and
field,
Yeah.
or a sand thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've never played it in anything but the beach, so.
You play it on the lawn, but you know.
Yeah, or the lawn, you know. I've
Yeah,
done it.
and you can go Italy, God, you know, it's like.
Yeah, I
It's a
think
thing.
I remember seeing it, I think.
I'm sure there's some guidelines that, Rich and I and Kevin are meeting next
Okay.
week, and so this will be part of our
Five
conversation. But
bucks,
we wanted to kind of talk about, kind of give you an idea like where Unified came from, rather than it being just about basketball, kind of more about the experience and kind of what the purpose was. And so, Rich, I appreciate you taking the time to kind of take us through. And I'll tell you, we have no lack of mentors. We have to really, there's kids that we turn away that want to be mentors just because they can't make the time commitments. Like, there's no shortage of people who want to be involved, which is very nice.
Absolutely.
I think there's 13, I think there's 11 mentors. And there's 24 total people. So half of them are mentors.
Yeah,
Which is great.
it is great.
Yep.
But it's nice for them too, because some of them are in other sports, and
Correct.
so,
Yeah.
there's definitely always enough there.
You know where you really see it too, is like in the lunch, believe it or not, like in the lunchroom. Those kids are hanging out with each other and just, and they're friends. They really
Yes.
are, like they look out for one another, and it's great to see. So it's heartwarming.
I know Jacob said it was one of the best things he did in high
Yeah.
school. He wished he'd done it earlier.
Yeah.
He would have changed it for the world.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Rich. I appreciate it. Thanks to the board for having the opportunity to share that with you. The next thing on our agenda is kind of an overview of the fiscal year 21 budget workshop schedule. And so, as you can see, the budget would be presented on March 4th. We had some budget workshops kind of built in March and April, and then kind of the board's approves recommended budget on May 6th, and then the 13th we have our district budget meeting, and then June 9th we have our budget validation referendum. So I just don't know if there was any questions about that. Did those dates all make sense to everybody?
Yeah, and you have all the times on there, so
Yep.
everybody else.
All the times on there, and we do have, if in the event that we need an extra Wednesday to meet, there is some time that we could create to be able to do that between that April 15th and May 6th meeting. So in the event that we need that, we have that flexibility
Okay.
with no snow.
Yeah, no snow. No snow.
Okay, no other questions? The next part of our conversation is just an update on the calendar. 2 weeks ago, I had the opportunity to go to the Sanford Regional Technical Vocational Center and met with all the area superintendents to kind of share our schedules. And Kathy Sargent, who is basically the director of that building, had to kind of get us all in a room and we hashed out the schedule, and bless her for trying to get 9 people on the same page or 8 people on the same page. So the trick is, as I've mentioned before, is that amongst the 8 schools there can only be 5 days difference amongst all of our schedules, and so there was some wrangling that we had to do, and so we came up with a draft of our schedule. The schedule that we have currently has 6 days of variance rather than 5 days of variance. We are going to appeal that the election day we receive a waiver for, because it's a once every 4-year thing, and so we feel like that the state would give us that. But Kathy will bring that to the state to get approval from the state to make sure that the calendar is okay with them. And then once we have that, I'll bring it back to you for the final approval.
Because then that would be added, right?
Yeah.
Is election day the 3rd?
The 3rd, yeah.
Okay, all right.
So just to kind of a brief overview, roughly with the draft that we have right now, our professional development day would be the 31st of August. Our first day for students would be Tuesday, September 1st. We would have that Friday the 4th off, so you'd have a 4-day weekend for Labor Day. We would then have the 8th of October off. Excuse me, the 9th of October off, which is the district vocational conference, and so that's one of those days that if everybody takes off, it doesn't count as a variance. So we would also have a professional development day on the 3rd of November, which is the election day. The winter recess would begin on the 22nd. At one point we had talked about the 23rd, but the 22nd, so we would have the 23rd, 24th, and 25th off. And then really the big thing is graduation is going to be on June 11th, which is not ideal. It's really the last day of school. We want to avoid that, but with the way that the calendar fell, it's kind of one of those strange things with Labor Day being so late. And so typically,
you would think that we're going to have a couple of snow days probably in there, so we'll probably move off that. But now that I said that, it won't happen, of course. But, but that's the thought process. So we can manage that. But obviously we'd like to avoid that. But the only other choice was to move graduation to the 4th. And unfortunately, if we had any snow days, then we would be in violation of the 170 days.
Shorten
for
the
the
seniors too much,
Yeah.
right?
So, but that's kind of that's just the draft of where we are right now. So where we are in the process.
Excellent.
Any questions?
Looks good. Yeah, it's so hard with Labor Day being the 7th.
It's tough. It's also really tricky with a number of schools have days within their contract that they're required to take off, and so I think it's possibly Noble, maybe York have like the Friday before April vacation is one of the days that they give off in their contract, and
York
so
has that off, I know for sure.
yeah, and so that kind of creates something that they have to do, but yet it still counts as a variance for everybody. So there is some trickiness to it. So we were able to kind of work some things through. The superintendents were fantastic to work with, but there is some little details that were a little bit tricky. So Kathy Sargent is a wizard as far as I'm concerned to pull it all together.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Good work.
And then some really exciting news. As you know, we've been spending a lot of time partnering with the LA Police Department, and Captain Moya contacted me about 2 weeks ago and mentioned an opportunity through a grant, which is the Community Oriented Policing Services, that is providing an opportunity for schools to have a 75% of the school resource officer paid for 3 years, and after the 3 years, the communities would then take that on. But it would be an opportunity for us to be able to incorporate a school resource officer at Marshall Middle School that would also be shared somewhat with Elliott Elementary School. And so
Awesome.
it just seems like a wonderful opportunity, and I just wanted to talk about it with the board tonight to see if you would be comfortable with me going through the grant process to see if we were able to be awarded that. Obviously, if we were awarded it, it would be about, for the 3 years, it would be about a $13,000 roughly cost for us to pay our share of the 25% of the school resource officer's salary, because obviously the other time they would be working for the police department. So I think it's a great opportunity. Obviously, it would be based on the grant, but I think free money in that respect would be a great thing. And also, school safety and security obviously is an utmost priority as we kind of go forward. So I'd love to get your feedback.
That'd be great.
In year 4, that would jump to 52K, right?
Yes, yeah. We would work that out. I think right now we pay about $50,000 roughly. Brian, is that right for the school resource officer at the high school?
Yep. Okay.
Which is it's only 4 days a week.
I guess a question or two. And
Yeah.
I'm deathly afraid that the question will be interpreted as my taking a position on this, which I haven't yet.
Yep.
But absent this grant, would we be looking to put a school resource officer at the middle school?
In my eyes, that's something I think would
It's
be
something
important over time. I wouldn't necessarily put it as a number one priority, but I do think that going forward, that would be something that I certainly would think that has a value.
Okay. How much time do we have in this process here? Do we have any deliberation time or discussion
Sure.
time?
I mean, I think the LA Police Department is going to be meeting with the grant writer to see kind of some deadlines and dates.
Okay.
So I think if we could wait, the next meeting would be great if we could do that. If not, certainly.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just some things to think about. Just an opportunity.
It seems like a good opportunity, but it seems also, I get the same question that you have, is like budget-wise, maybe in 3 years, how will this, I would hate to start this and in 3 years people are like, well, this is too much for the budget,
Yep.
and we're faced with saying, can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I think it would be helpful to maybe have a presentation on what is the benefit of having a resource officer, so we
Sure.
can have that full picture.
Yep.
I know there's a huge benefit, but
Absolutely.
I actually don't know exactly what it is.
Yep. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I see it here for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Sixth graders.
Sort of the flip side of my question is if we feel it's if not necessary, then at least important for the middle school.
Yep.
And you mentioned that this resource could be shared with Elliott Elementary. What about the other two?
And that would be part of what we do with Jeff now, where we try to have him spend other times in buildings. I think what we're finding more and more, so for instance, Sergeant Lund, who works for the LA Police Department, spends a great deal of time at Elliott Elementary School, just coordinating with families who are struggling. And so there's a lot of time. And I think it would be important maybe to have him be able to come and present along with Jeff, just to kind of give you a sense of what he's currently doing and how that may be able to expand. Because
I think that would be very
That'd be awesome.
And a school resource officer isn't only for now, like if there's a problem. It really becomes a community resource to be proactive on how to coordinate with families, particularly with the mental health issues around, to be able to have those resources available.
Important to understand all of that,
Absolutely.
so that we understand the value, which is probably huge.
Absolutely. And it's a great resource to have, and so it goes beyond kind of the years ago when it was, to have someone on campus just in case, kind of that security piece, and then teach DARE. And it's kind of transformed from that. And that's what it was years ago, but that really, and then so I think now it's really evolved.
I think it'd be important to try to make the voters maybe understand that, because I think that's why I fear for we get this on the grant, we started, and then in 3 years when we don't have the grant, people are like, what, we don't need a DARE.
Absolutely.
Right, education early.
Yeah, absolutely right, and I think that's that's part of just kind of outlining kind of what the role is, and so absolutely, I think what I'll try to do is have actually coordinate with Sergeant Lund and Chief Moyer to be able to see maybe on the 14th, if not, probably not the first meeting in March, maybe right after that. Okay. So I'll do my best to be able to get that coordinated. I think some great questions.
Awesome.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Student reports.
All right, so there's a few things that Interact has coming up. So this Saturday, February 8th, it's the Valentine's dance, or like the father-daughter dance, from 6 to 8 p.m. So I think the age group is like 5th grade, and younger, ish. The Interact Club is going to be there setting up and cleaning up, but also we're going to be running the photo booth and taking Polaroid pictures. And the current snow date, I think, is Sunday, February 9th, just from 2 to 4 p.m. But hopefully it doesn't snow and we get a chance to do it, because it's fun to see all the kids and take their pictures, and they're all dressed up. Yeah, that's cute. The other thing that Interact kind of has in the works is the dodgeball tournament, which we haven't officially gotten approval for, but I think we already have the gym reserved, and we handed in the form, and we're hoping to make it an annual event, because it does it always goes to a good cause. Last year we donated $900 to Yemen. This year, we wanted to do it, our club decided that we wanted to donate to the Australia wildfires, since they're still happening. It's still such a big issue. The date right now, I think, is March 13th, so if you guys want to start forming a team, feel free.
You could have a better showing than last year. That was tough.
I'm still sore.
Yeah. And so as that gets planned more, I'll keep you updated on what's going on with that. And then the last thing for Interact, I guess, is Tanzania. We're leaving for Tanzania next Thursday, February 13th. Yeah. There's 7 students going, and then 3 chaperones, and he is one of them. And so I'll definitely have more to report on that when I come back, but I'm very excited.
Yeah, that's
very
awesome.
excited. We leave on the 13th, and then we have a layover in Amsterdam, and then we fly into Tanzania, and then we come back on the 23rd.
Wow.
So it's for about 10 days.
Wonderful. And what will you be doing there?
I think we're building a school. Yeah, we're building a school.
Nice.
Yes, we're doing a service project, and
Safari.
we're doing a safari one day. Yep. And we're going to learn Swahili and be with the Maasai.
That's awesome.
That's wonderful.
Really cool.
That is cool. China can build a hospital in 10 days. You guys can build a school in 10 days.
Yeah, that's the hope. And then the other two things I just want to briefly report on is the winter formal that happened after midterms was, in my opinion, like a huge hit. Everyone there was having so much fun. I didn't feel like there was like any issues going on. There was food and drinks and like everyone was just having a good time. And I know that there was like some concern because it was like the first year that we were doing it, but it was really good. Everyone who I talked to enjoyed it a lot. And at the last math meet, they came in second again, and that was on January 29th, I believe. And I don't know when their next math meet is, but I still think that Owen Byrne and Jack Lusenhoff are still like one of the top of the state.
Nice.
I'll try to talk. Indoor track had their, oh my god. So they had their last regular meet on Saturday, and Addie Fuller is currently the fastest freshman in the state in the mile and 2 mile.
Wow.
So that's really impressive. And then now we're going to Southwestern's on Saturday. And ski team has states on the 13th and 14th, and then they only have one more regular meet after that. And hockey played South Portland on Saturday, and they have a home game this Saturday at 10:45 against Scarborough. And boys basketball, they played at 7, or they're still playing. And then they won their game against Biddeford on Friday, and the girls team also won their game against Biddeford on Friday. And they played at 6, and I don't know how that went. And the competition cheer team, they came in 3rd at their competition in Sanford last Saturday. And then they have states on this Saturday in Augusta. And then the sophomore class, they're doing the career project now in their advisories, and it's kind of like you take a personality test, and then it like gives you careers that goes with your personality, and then you pick one and do research on it. So that's cool. And that's what I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's
our report.
All right. Thank you, John. Finance and facilities, we meet before the next meeting. Ed policy, we met on the 29th, as you can see from all the policies that we have tonight. And so as we go through those, we can talk about what has changed and what is changing. So why don't we just start with the first one? Can I have a motion to approve tobacco-free schools?
I move that we approve first reading and discussion of policy tobacco-free schools, use and possession of tobacco and electronic smoking devices, ADC.
I'll second.
So this didn't change much. We just added in privately owned vehicles, which privately is spelled wrong, so we need to change that. But that's really the only change to this.
Specifically vaping.
Yes, and added the vaping.
Yep.
Into it as well, sorry.
And that's a change in state law.
Yeah. And we had some discussion, some of the, not terminology, but why it had quotations around it, because it says like vaping. But they said because I think the thing was it's all inclusive. There's other things that are, right?
Yes.
Because it can be, various things can be considered vaping. So that's why we left the quotation marks there.
Okay.
And then out of the abundance of caution, to add privately owned vehicles, because we do sort of feel like that is a little bit of an issue, that people are leaving the school and parents are leaving the school at an event and smoking in their car in the parking lot, and or dropping their children off and smoking in the car and stuff. So anyways, just trying to at least put that in there so they know that your car is still on campus. So it counts. So does anybody have any questions about that one? We'll get privately spelled right and bring it back for a second read. Okay, all those in favor then? All right, and how about the next one, advertising in schools?
I move we approve the first reading and discussion of policy advertising to schools, KHP. Second.
All right. So this one, the actual advertising in the schools, aren't any changes, correct?
Correct.
Good. And it's just the revision date. So the changes have come from the R, and then in the E1 and the E2. So the actual policy has remained the same, but because we're doing the whole thing and changing the R and the E1 and E2, this has to have a policy revision date the same.
Want to give some context to where it came from?
Sure.
So if you remember, we had a discussion back in the fall regarding purchasing of a digital scoreboard for the gym. And so as we looked into that a little bit more, we found that we really didn't have any clarity on whether that would be allowed or not. And so what we did is we started, Rich was able to pull some policies from different communities, Biddeford and Massabesic in particular, to kind of see how they handle those types of things. And so we created, I think it's E2, which is really if someone wanted to advertise on like the digital scoreboard that would be in the gym, and what would happen would be people would pay a fee, and then that for every event that would take place in the gym where the scoreboard would use, that would show at all those events. So it wouldn't be just for basketball games, it would be for volleyball, it might be for girls basketball and boys basketball, it might be for if we had it out for the interactive dodgeball tournament. Anytime that we use that scoreboard, that would be out there. So there would be a fee attached with that. A part of that fee would go to the booster group that was able to kind of procure the sponsor, and then part of it would go to our enterprise account, which is an account that we use to kind of really help all of athletics. So that's how we actually paid for the board itself. So that's something that we've used for various different projects. The netting that goes around the field, so the lacrosse balls don't go hit kids when they're running the track. I mean, basically those types of things. That's where it came from, the enterprise account. So that's where that came from. So this would be like a 1-year agreement that we would have with somebody to be able to provide that advertising. So.
And every group would be able to sell advertising.
What's that?
So every group would be able to sell advertising. So not just the basketball team or, not just the teams where the actual scoreboard sits, but if the band, anybody.
What kind of fee do you imagine that would be?
I think we said $400.
$400 for the year.
For a
year's worth of advertising.
That's quite a bit of exposure for $400.
Yeah.
$300 of the dollars would go to the individual booster club who went out and found the person, then $100 would go to the enterprise account, which would benefit all students.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So we're discussing
Yes.
KHB right now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But that's the background around the
The
next
rest
two.
of
Yeah.
Yeah,
So KHB it really hasn't changed.
It trickles down. KHB hasn't changed. So we can vote on that one first. All those in favor? All right. So let's look at KHBR.
And I move to approve the first reading and discussion of policy advertising in the schools procedures KHB-R.
Sure.
Seconds.
All right. So that one, we added KHB-E2 onto it as well. And then, so it's the procedure, and then these are the two exhibits that are attached. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Does anybody have any questions about that one?
Just a slight change in the procedure. Just
Yeah.
That's the scoreboard advertising agreement.
yes.
Right, because we need the two different ones.
And we wanted to make sure with any of the advertising that we actually had a picture of the ad that was being placed on the scoreboard, just so we could see it before we agreed to be able to put it up there, just to make sure it was appropriate. So, measure twice, count once.
Potential
That's
for
not-
problems there.
What could possibly go wrong? Absolutely.
Oh, boy.
All right, all those in favor then?
My
Okay.
imagination's running.
So how about KHB-E1?
I move we approve the first reading and discussion of policy advertising in the schools request form KHB-E1.
Second.
All right. So this would be for all advertising.
Except for the
This-
scoreboard.
Except for the scoreboard.
That's correct.
But this is for everything but the scoreboard. And one of the things we're talking, we feel like some of the groups aren't using anything.
We need to be more consistent with this.
And so we just need to be a little bit more consistent.
Yeah, sure.
So I think that
Right.
was the discussion at policy, was that, all groups have advertising opportunities. A lot of them do through, what do I want to say, not brochures, but,
Programs,
Program, thank
banners,
you, that's
you
the
know,
word.
I mean,
Like
it-
baseball.
Yeah, programs,
Yeah.
banners, spotlight sponsor, like for theater and stuff, so that's what
Race for
this will be.
Education has that, and then there's a lot of those things.
There's just a lot of advertising that goes on, so everybody will have to fill out this form.
We wanted to make it simple to do, because I think it's important that we value the people who want to help us and be partners with us, but at the same time, I think it's important for us to have a record of just what's actually happening, and so.
What's being
Yeah.
advertised out there.
So,
Yeah.
We just need to make sure that the boosters know about this.
Right, and
somehow.
we did talk about that. Rich has a meeting with the boosters groups in the spring.
That's right.
And so he'll definitely be sharing it with the boosters, and then I think any of the other groups at their school level.
Yeah.
Right.
The principals or whoever they designate will share it with those in charge of Race for Education or the Monster Mile or,
Yeah.
all those other
Spotlight sponsors.
spotlight sponsors for
District
theater and everything else. But Rich will be rolling it out to the booster groups. Both, you'll talk about both, right? The scoreboard as well, so that they know.
It's a good opportunity, yeah.
It's a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
Especially for some of the organizations, I mentioned band in particular, they don't have a lot of opportunities to raise money.
Right.
Because they don't have, they have like an event a year.
Right.
But they don't really have a ton of ways to raise money, and they're very creative, and they're about doing it, and very successful, but this might be an opportunity for them.
We thought about, like skiing, we talked about in particular,
Yeah.
in hockey, where you're off-site, and so it gives you an opportunity to do something on-site, which might be
On-site.
attractive to people. And
Yeah,
so it kind of gives,
exactly.
if someone's excited and wants to be motivated, it's a great opportunity to create some revenue that, they can also
Yeah.
kind of talk a little bit about your program. So.
Yeah, being on a banner that goes up not
Yeah.
even close to here for 2 races is not
Yeah, right.
really all
Yeah.
that enticing for people.
Right.
It's a hard sell.
And they typically do it because,
I mean, they do
they're.
it because it's
Yeah.
family or
Right,
whatever.
your niece or nephew or your son or daughter or
right.
Yeah.
grandchildren are there. Even that's
But you may
really-
be able to get some people outside
So
of that
that's
group
exciting, yeah.
to do the scoreboard thing, so.
An opportunity.
Yeah, it's definitely an
And
opportunity.
then, so it's on the scoreboard for every game
That's correct.
that happens in the gym.
Yep, or
That's correct.
wrestling
Or
match.
Or any of, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
wrestling too.
volleyball,
Whenever we use a
basketball,
scoreboard.
wrestling, whenever the scoreboard is
Year-round.
used.
For a full
Yeah.
year, you get
Yeah.
$400.
Although,
That's a
in
decent.
the spring, is anything in there?
Not really.
Yeah. That's great.
But, and girls and boys also, so.
Great.
All right,
Just a
so,
neat opportunity that might be able to be impactful for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think having the enterprise piece to it is really important, just to be able to make sure that, sometimes there are situations that come up, but we want to make sure we give everybody equal access to things and be able to do that, so.
Right.
well, and it's gonna need maintenance and different things over the years, so it
Absolutely.
makes sense to put some money
Yep.
towards that side of it
Yeah.
as well, so.
Good.
All right, all those in favor of E1 then? Okay, so let's do E2 and see if anybody has any questions about that one.
I move we approve the first reading and discussion of policy scoreboard advertising agreement KHBE2.
I'll second.
Ryan, did you want to say anything about this since you're the mastermind behind E2?
We kind of already covered it.
Okay.
Just the goal being 1-year agreement, and $400, as John said, $300 goes to the
Yep.
group and $100 to the enterprise game.
And we have had the attorneys look at this.
For all of these 1-year periods, we're talking about like maybe September 1 to
Yeah.
August 31 kind of year,
School year?
or is it rotate, is it a
I think
rolling?
you could, let it be like a rolling, so.
Okay, so you could start in December and go to the
Right,
following.
'cause
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think we want to do school year, just because,
Okay.
when winter sports started doing like something, you'd want it to kind of roll through their
Sure.
season.
Yeah.
And like the whole year, not
Right.
like say, oh, as of June it expires, because you kind of shorten their year.
Okay.
I think we also talked about this is the type of thing that could get really big, and we just don't know how big it is. So I think that's why we really wanted to try to keep it just focused on that one scoreboard to see how we can manage that and see how that goes. And then if we need to review things in a couple of years, we can do that and let it grow a little bit. But I just think if you put too much out there too soon, it becomes almost unmanageable. So we just want to make it really manageable and do a better job of just keeping track of what we're currently doing.
And see if this works.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
or
Yeah,
if it's
exactly.
cumbersome or, you know, hard
I'm
to
just
do,
wondering about the
whatever.
number, so if you know, just in terms of the time and exposure for the organization that's taking advantage of this, if we have 100 different advertisers, there's only so much time, right,
Yeah.
where the screen's up,
Yeah.
versus 20.
Yeah, I
you know,
think we
so-
would have to limit it. If we get to a point,
Yeah.
I think we would say that we're, that would be a great place to be.
Yeah, no,
But I
it's
think,
so great.
But I think, there
You
would be
get a flash a year.
Right, exactly. Right. 3.7 minutes
10 seconds a
of
game.
screen time, so.
It's a game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, that's what Biddeford did. I think they limited it. I think there was 12, I think was the number, if I remember correctly, from what they were doing. And we can play with that. I think
12 for this season?
yeah, or 12 sponsors. Yeah, I think they may do it per season, or there's some subtleties. And they handle all that in the central office. And I think we wanted to really kind of give our boosters an opportunity to be able
Yeah.
to
Could
create
probably
some.
be more than 12, but they have a
Yeah.
different setup too.
Yeah, absolutely. So.
And I think probably a different cost structure, because we're talking about their football one, right?
Stadium, yeah.
So, yeah, it'll become a montage.
So,
Just be like-
so Rich, are you going to be the one entering all that logos and whatnot into the system? Like, who's doing that? That's a big
Community
job.
service. I think
Okay.
we'll find one of those.
That sounds like a student job to
I'm
me.
going to try to find someone really good at that stuff.
Yeah.
And that person would have
But Jack,
probably on a monthly basis would have to say, okay, this contract's up, take the ad out, this contract just started, put
Right,
the
like
ad
there's a
in.
coordination that definitely would be going along with all of that.
Well, that's the beauty of Ryan, is that he is so meticulously organized with that stuff, and so he may not be the person to put it on the scoreboard, but he can also say take it off.
Take it off.
So he can be the
They'll definitely
clock
have a
guy.
tickler system of
So-
some sort to
Yeah.
know when those contracts expire or roll over or whatever.
And we
right?
do probably want to do it, whether it be on a monthly basis, so we can
Yeah.
kind of, the anniversary date
Right.
kind of follows the first of the month, so we can just get into those habits. of
Yeah.
just
That's a good idea.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So.
It doesn't have to be the same month.
Right,
but
you
At
know.
least
Right.
first of the month.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then if it's, depending, hopefully it's a really big success and then you can limit, to seasons.
Yeah.
Change the structure, or
Yeah.
whatever you need to do.
Yeah, because
Absolutely.
you could have more than
Yeah.
one pay structure if there were too many people, we could only do like basketball season.
Yeah.
Right,
Volleyball.
yeah.
I'm excited to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let's see.
Good.
All right, so all those in favor then? And we'll bring it back, and which will be good, because then Matt and Paul will be
Yeah.
here too, hopefully.
Oh, that's good.
And if they have any questions on it, we'll have to go through the whole thing again. But that's okay. It's good. It's good to know.
Learn more.
Yeah. All right, how about a motion for the wellness policy?
Move that we approve the first reading and discussion of policy student wellness JL.
I'll second.
All right. So I think this one came about because there was a desire to add a mental health statement in here, and so John took it to the wellness committee, and I don't know if Lisa or Sue, if you guys want to talk about kind of how this statement came about, or if there was any thought.
To Lisa, 'cause
I
missed the
think-
last
Okay.
one.
I mean, basically, we've been meeting as a wellness committee, and I think it became clear, there's certainly the physical aspects that are covered and the nutritional aspects that are covered, and it was just really clear that we were missing the social and emotional health and the mental health, which I think as a board and as a district right now is a really big, and it's of concern. And
Absolutely.
it's absolutely necessary that we address those things, and since we are doing all of that, it certainly makes sense that it's part of the overall wellness policy. Yeah.
So we drafted the statement at our policy meeting, and then we gave it to Nina and to Jerry to kind of present to the group, and got some feedback back from the group. And people felt like it was a nice umbrella for us to have to kind of open up that conversation. So, and I just need to say that has just been such a breath of fresh air of those, of having a meeting of just such great, diversity. I'm talking about, our students' wellness and health. So the next meeting is next Wednesday at 5:30. So
Wonderful.
So the language that's highlighted in yellow is the paragraph around.
that's correct.
And
The goal though, right, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the goal is to flesh that out, like,
yes,
a bit, right? But such as the rest of the areas.
that
are
was my
fleshed out.
question. This paragraph sort of directs us to develop the systemic approach, or systematic approach, excuse me, which I presume is the work of the Wellness Committee.
Correct.
Right.
So we'll be revisiting this again.
Yes.
Once a plan of action comes out of that.
I'm not sure.
Well, in terms of.
I think what we tried to do was to get clarity under the big umbrella of student wellness, because it didn't talk about the mental health at all, really. I mean, it talked about, maybe you can make some connections to it, but I think what this allowed us to do is have the bigger umbrella, and then under that big umbrella, then we can work out some specifics, but not necessarily, wouldn't necessarily have to be outlined in the policy per se.
Yeah.
But it would allow us to have those conversations as kind of part of the whole
Got it.
child.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Maybe would have some goals or something associated with it, like overarching goals.
And that's what
or
you guys,
something.
as the
Right.
wellness committee, will develop,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. Yep.
All right, again, this one will come back again. So all those in favor? Okay. And how about one for EFE?
I move we approve the first reading and discussion policy, competitive food sales of foods in competition with the school food, EFE.
I'll second.
It's
I don't have it here either, I read it.
it was attached to
I remember it.
the wellness.
Wellness. Yes.
Okay.
There are no highlighted changes.
It really is just, it was a connected policy, and so if we were doing both of them, we just wanted to make sure that they were both aligned with each
Got it.
other, so.
And the same review date.
Yeah.
And so we reviewed it, they aligned, there were no changes, so we just have to change the review
Prove the
date.
lack of changes.
Yes.
That's right.
That's it. We are approving the lack of changes.
But just allows us to push it back another 5 years from
Right.
this date, and pretty easily, I guess.
And
it is.
yeah. And we just reviewed it
Yeah.
in 2018
Yeah.
too, when we changed all the food stuff, so. All right, so all those in favor of that one? Okay, and the last one is the freedom of access.
Oh, sorry, I move we approve the first reading and discussion of policy public's right to know / freedom of access, KDB.
Second.
All right, so there are a couple changes on this one. We had to designate someone to be our contact person. So that was one of the changes. So the contact person would be John. And if John was unavailable, it would be Therese, or the human resource officer, now Therese. And then we also had to establish what our costs would be if somebody needed us to provide information. So what that cost would be per copy and what that cost would be per hour. So we have to put that in too, which is on. Anything else on this one?
No, and I think,
Did we
this doesn't.
change the name or no?
I don't think so.
Okay.
And it doesn't necessarily come up a lot, but it did come up earlier this year at one point where an outside vendor was looking for information, so we just needed to get some clarity as to what we legally had to provide, and then to what extent we had to do things in order to provide that information. So it was really it was a good conversation, but I think we felt like we wanted to review our policy to make sure if it happens again, we have a clear understanding of it, so.
And there is a companion to this in the board bylaws about our training, and we'll discuss that when the bylaws come up. I don't know if it's a mandate or a suggestion that you do the training every year.
Yeah.
And we only do it once when you get on the board. So we might have to up that and change the bylaws, but we'll work on that in June when we usually go over those. Yeah. All right, so all those in favor on that one? And again, it'll come back over. So, does anybody else on the board have anything else for tonight? For tonight. Okay.
I'm unfortunately not going to be here next week. I don't know how I didn't put that together when we were talking about it last time, but because the state championship was moved to
The 2 days.
yes, long story. Yeah, 2 overnights. I have to be up there as the boosters president to meet the team at the hotel to live with this. So
Yeah.
therefore, I'm going to miss both, unfortunately, the wellness committee meeting, it's a bummer, and also the board meeting. And
Okay.
Sue just mentioned I don't know. She's
I
not
may
sure, but
not
she's
be
iffy
here.
for next week.
Okay.
So,
All right, so we'll have to make sure again, we'll do a.
That we have enough, yeah.
That we have enough. And you're out the 18th, right, of March? I had that on my calendar.
if I mention that, yes,
Yes.
I think I am in Wisconsin or some such crazy place.
Okay. I've been trying when you guys say ahead
Yes,
of time
Michigan.
to write it on the, okay. So we'll have to watch that one as well.
Yeah, sorry about that. And I
Oh,
also wanted to
happens.
offer that since I'm going to be missing several of the policy meetings, that I would volunteer to cover, if I need to see the dates, but I could cover the town meetings.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Instead.
Yeah, I think we have February and March, so it would be April. I think we still need April, May, and June,
What
so
are
we'll
the
have to.
dates of-
It's always the second Wednesday of the month.
Second Wednesday of the month. Okay,
Yeah.
let me check that for April through June and see if I can cover those.
Okay, that would be
That
awesome.
would make me feel better about
Mhm.
missing the policy meetings. I just would like to contribute somehow since I'm
That
not able to do
that
that.
would be wonderful. I haven't been.
The guilt is strong.
I
against
know.
me, isn't it?
It's
That's-
the Catholic house.
So it's April 8th, just, the 8th, I think is May 13th.
Okay.
8th, 13th, and then
April 8th,
And then we usually have one in June,
June
right?
the 10th.
May 13th, you said?
Yeah, and then.
And then June 10th.
I
And if-
can do those.
Okay.
Wow.
All right.
April 8th.
We'll put you
Can I
in.
tell you where they are before?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll put it in my calendar. April 8th is Elliott.
Right? That's what I
Uh,
have. May is at Southburg and June is at the superintendent's.
May
That's what
13th.
mine
Yes.
thinks.
Bingo, you win the prize.
And June 10th.
I actually found
Is
that
it the
piece of
superintendent's
paper.
office?
Ooh, that's like a prize.
Sorry, May was South Berwick and June was the
Superintendent's office.
Super's office. Okay, I am so happy.
And if you run into a bind, let me know,
Oh,
because I
I
haven't
will.
been to any. So
Okay.
this year.
We can
And
still
so
come.
I'm happy to
Coffee.
cover one.
And those are at what
one of
time
them.
again? That's early.
8 o'clock.
right?
8 o'clock,
Yeah.
and only for an
8 to
hour.
9.
Okay, got it.
Over, done, quick.
That's great.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Jerry or Nina, any exciting news in elementary land?
Mine was just gonna be the unified basketball, so I've already done
We had a kind of last minute surprise visit from Channel 13 at Central, and I've heard it's already aired, so we had a second grade class that were reading about the koalas. And
Oh,
were really
yeah.
upset and wanted to make a difference, so the second grade as a whole then really educated the whole school about the koalas and what we could do, and has raised over $1,000 just of their piggy bank money and their tooth fairy money, and the stories are just so cute, and they blanketed the school with beautiful koala posters. So we had Channel 13 interview about 8 kids and Mrs. Arbello, and then fill in some of those things. I haven't seen it, but
Oh
I've
my
heard
gosh.
that we have a couple superstars.
And did you say, Nina, that it already aired?
It already, I think
Oh,
it's
no.
going to air all evening.
Okay.
Like on
Okay.
10 o'clock.
So
we
will
might
Vicky
be
be
able to
posting a
touch
link
the
to
channel.
a?
Right, there'll be a link at some point. Yeah.
And you'll see it tomorrow morning when you're
She'll
watching
see a
Storm
list.
Center, I'm
She'll
sure.
see a
I got
Oh,
a
I
phone
can't
call
wait
from my
to see
granddaughter about 3 hours ago, very excited. Papa
Yeah,
Joe, Papa
remember
Joe,
there-
I may be on TV
She
today.
was on it. She was
Oh,
in, she was in, yeah, she was so cute. They were so cute. They're holding hands.
Oh my gosh.
So I have to see
Better
it.
take
Yes.
that one.
Yeah, that's big. That is
Fire
so
up the
big.
VCR.
You'll definitely be able to find it somewhere.
Can I mention one other
Yeah,
thing real quick?
certainly.
Just, those who didn't know that Justin Bryant was recently a
Oh,
winner of the
yeah,
James
Fitzy.
Fitzpatrick Award, which is given to the top high school football player in the state of Maine, and that was quite an honor. That's only the third student athlete in the history of Marshwood to win that. Steve Knight, Brett Gary, and then Justin. So we're happy for Justin.
And
Very
rare
cool.
for a
Such
Class
a
B.
nice kid.
Yeah, rare for Class B.
Rare for a
Only one
Class
of
B
three,
player.
You know, so
That
Is
is
it for all classes?
All classes.
All classes,
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Yep.
Can someone remind me what the unified basketball game dates were?
Yes.
Thank you.
February 13th at Marshwood
Oh, that one I can't do. Okay.
and February 26th at Noble.
February 26th at Noble at 3:45-ish.
Ish.
Okay. Well, why don't we go together? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We'll go
You want to
together.
get there at 3:30 just to see the
Yes.
introductions.
Oh,
because
okay.
Yeah,
that's
that-
my
all right,
favorite.
so you
With
don't
the
get a
nicknames,
seat.
it's just
Okay, good. Yeah, they all do, they have handshakes still?
handshakes, and they have the,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know,
that's
Nev the
great.
Defender Cartmill, they have all these, you know.
Oh, yeah.
There's some good ones, so.
Heidi, do you have anything over there?
I just wanted to
I'm so
say
sorry.
a couple things.
I'm gonna go.
One of the things we've had going on the last 2 weeks is our instructional rounds between our 2 elementary schools. So every day we've had 6 to 8 teachers from either Elliott go to Central or Central go to Elliott and do
Wow.
instructional rounds. So they've been spending about 10 minutes or so in each classroom and getting through almost every classroom in the building. And we are getting together next Thursday to kind of have a combined celebration with both staffs and just allow them to share some of the observations that they've made. But I've been able to be with them from time to time, like certainly not all the time, but you know, I've spent half an hour here, an hour there, walking around with teachers, and it's been just wonderful to hear them talk to each other about all the great stuff they're seeing. They're so positive and sharing some positive feedback between the schools just kind of on their own, and so that's been really a good first step in terms of just building some positive collaboration between our 2 elementary schools.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Great.
Good idea. Was that your idea?
That was John.
Oh.
Wow. Oh, good idea.
I would. That's so
Yeah.
great.
I mean, that's,
All right, if nobody has anything else, could we have a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn this meeting.
All right.
We adjourn this meeting.
You'll second? All right. All those in favor? Okay. And I just